The third step is to insert your content, and this is the core, the heart of the matter, how we actually put things on our page. You're going to add content in a variety of ways. One way you can do it is you can just click the edit tool and you can start editing and adding information directly to the page. So in this case, for example, we could say we can type words. It's like a text editor. It's just like Microsoft Office, Word, or Google Docs. It's got some text editing tools on here. Not as many as those word processing ones would, but you've got a font size, bold, italic, underline. You can change text color, you can change background colors or highlight colors. You can add lists, bullet lists, and numbers. So let's see how we use some of those tools. For example, under ancient Egypt, we could say, we created many while learning about ancient Egypt. We did many activities and created several products, including, and then we can make a list of our products here. And in this case, they're in no particular order, so I would click the bullet list or unordered list. If you want them in a certain order, you can click the numbered list, and that will automatically number them for you. So I could create a list of our products, an ancient Egypt map. We also created a timeline at Tiki Taki. We created a tour of ancient Egyptian sites and temples. It was a tour website, so I'll go back there and add tour website for ancient Egyptian sites and temples. And you can see you can just keep going down the list and adding the different things you've made. And you can always come back to this and add more later. It doesn't all have to be there the first time. In fact, when we save our work, you'll see that it's ready to show up. And keep in mind, you do need to click that save button. It's not like Google Drive where it saves it automatically for you while you're working. All right, so we've got our page started to be set up. Now it says when it was last updated, and you can actually check the history and even undo changes by going up here and going to the revision history. So this is a very easy way to check and see who has made changes, when the changes were made, and you can even look at previous versions of what it looked like. So if I go back to version 2 of this page, I can look at it and see that there's nothing there. I can compare more than one version. So as you're making changes to this, you can see what happens in each case. If I select the second version, it would be version 4. See, so it shows what happened. I inserted this extra work. Okay, and you can also revert back to, if you find an older version that was better or you made a mistake, you can revert to the older version and fix that mistake by clicking on the older version after you check it. So let's go back to our page that we were just working on there. And what we want to do is we're going to look at how we can also add other things to these pages. Okay, there's other tools that you can use, just like on Google Docs. You can also add images to a page. So for example, if we wanted to go to our About Me page and add some information about ourselves, we could then insert an image, and you can upload images from your computer, or you can find images on the internet, in which case you need to copy and paste the address of the image to do that. So if I click on upload images here, I could find a picture of myself and go ahead and upload that to the page. And there I am wearing my Halloween costume from a few years ago. And so what you can do with this is you can tell it what size you want it. You can make it small, medium, or large. You can center it. You can change the alignment of it. So there's a variety. You can have the text wrapping, which means the words will go around the picture. So you can have the picture on the side of the words. Okay, so there's a variety of things you can do with your image there. And then you'll need to save the file if you want to keep that page. Obviously, you'd want more information than this about yourself on your About Me page. You'd want to describe what subjects you like at school, perhaps, or what types of sports or activities you do. Just a little bit of information, not too much, because we're sharing this with strangers on the internet. So you don't want to put your address, or you don't even really need to put your age or your phone number. Anything that's really personal information you can leave out. Just put your first name if you want. And in this case, we could put a picture, not of ourselves, but we could put the picture of the cartouche we made for our name in Egyptian. That could be a nice personal touch to add to this page. Okay, so speaking of Egypt, let's go back and take a look at how we can add other content to our site. As we saw on the example portfolio page, you can embed your Google Drive documents and work directly into your website. like this. That's a very useful tool, and it's a very easy way to show your work, but there's a few important steps you need to follow in order to do that. So I'm going to go over some important things you need to do in two different ways that you can do this. First thing you're going to need to do is go to your Google Drive folder and make sure you have your documents open, because we need to change some sharing permissions on those files. If you don't share them to make them visible to the public, then when you embed them into your page, you will be able to see them, but nobody else who visits your website will be able to see them. They will be hidden from view, even though people will be able to see your website. So that's a real problem. The easiest way to make sure everybody can see your work, if they need to on your website, is to put a check mark next to the folder that contains all of your classwork that you want to share, and click the sharing permissions button. And then right now it says specific people can access it. Only people that you've assigned to have permission to access that folder will be able to see it. Now what we can do is we can actually change specific people, and we can change it to anyone with a link. You wouldn't want to necessarily make your folder public on the web, because then anybody can just find it from a Google search, and that's not our purpose here. We don't even want people to see all of our work in the folder, just specific things. So we're going to allow anyone with a link, and what that will do is it will automatically set that permission for all the work inside of the folder as well. So that means any of the subfiles and subfolders will be visible this way. That's why it's the easiest way to do it. But it's also a risky way to do it, because it means people will be able to access and see any of your work inside that folder. And another important thing you really have to keep in mind is where it says access to anyone, they don't even have to sign in, it says can view. That's what we want to keep it as. People can see your work, but they can't change it. If you change this to can edit, then anybody in the world will be able to go in and modify, change, or even delete your work. So you need to make sure it only says can view, and then you click save. All right, now with this set up, we can actually add any of our files in there very easily onto our page. And there's a few different ways to do this. If you've got some work, just a few things that are related to the same topic or the same idea, you can put them together on the same web page. So for example, under Theme 1 Courage, we had some vocabulary work. If we look here, we have a survival kit that we wrote, and we had an animal study and some vocabulary. There were only about 4 things that we did for this theme. So when it's not too many different items and they're all related, you can put them on the same page together. So let's see how we would do that. For example, you would click Edit Page, and then you just click Insert, and you go to your drive, and you can choose what kind of file you're going to insert. So in this case, I knew I had a document called the Hatchet Survival Kit, so I'm going to click Hatch. I can search for it up here in the search box now. You will see what shows up here is actually all of your documents. Anything that's a Google Drive doc or a Google Doc will show up in this list here. But by the end of the year, you're going to have a lot of work there, so it can take a long time to scroll through it. And in fact, anything that's shared with you will also show up here. That's why I have so many documents here. So you can use this search bar, and you can search for your Hatchet Survival Kit. And then once you've found it, you can go ahead and save that, and it will put it into your document. Now it doesn't look like a document yet, but you'll see it show up. There's a few tools here. If you need to change those settings that showed up at the beginning, you can click on Properties, and you can change these settings. You can show what title shows up for it. You can choose to include a border around it or not. I like to keep those settings at their default, and then you can center it on the page if you'd like. If there's any words on the page, you can choose to have them wrap around it, which could be useful for things like a slideshow possibly, or if you have any images or drawings that you've created. And you can delete that off your page if you click the X. So all you have to do is click on that item, and the menu will show up. If you actually want to see the document appear, you have to click the Save button, and you'll see how it looks to the public. And that's what the public's going to see when they get to your site. If you want to add more documents, you can click the Edit Page tool and go down underneath by pressing Enter to move down, and now we're down below that document, and we can embed other things. You can embed all sorts of work on here, including entire folders of work, images, presentations, even videos that you've uploaded. And this will use the YouTube video player without having to actually have a YouTube account, so you can have videos just in your Google Drive that are shared with people. Alright, so make sure with your documents as well that you don't have your full name on there. You could just change it if you need to put your first name and your last initial possibly, but you don't need to put your whole name on these documents when sharing with the public. Another option which is good, especially if you don't feel like making your whole folder of work publicly accessible, is to change that folder. We'll just make it back to only specific people that we were sharing with, and you can go into each individual file that you want to share as you come across them. So we'll go ahead and do that for the Ancient Egypt folder. In this case, we want to put things on different pages. Okay, so we embedded stuff together on one page when it's related, but when we want different things on their own pages, we can easily create subpages underneath of a topic by editing the page and creating new subpages. So in this case, I'm going to embed an ancient Egypt map. So I would highlight this ancient Egypt map, and we're going to go ahead and choose to create a link. Now, what I've done is I've highlighted the words that I want to link to my other page. Then I choose the link button, and I'm going to click to create a new page. So this will automatically create a page for us and link it from these words. So these words will automatically link to a new page that we want. And I'm going to call this page whatever my product is, Ancient Egypt Map. I'm going to put it underneath of my Ancient Egypt page. So I'm going to create it. And then I'm going to click OK. And what that does is it's created an Ancient Egypt Map page that I can go to. Let me go ahead and save it. And now I can go into that Ancient Egypt Map page, and I can embed my Ancient Egypt map right on here. Okay, so if I insert my drive item now, I know it's a drawing, I can search for it. But what if I don't know where to find it? I've got too many drawings on here. I've got tons of ancient Egypt maps. I'm not sure which one. I've got ancient Greece maps, lots of different drawings to look through the carbon cycle, too many different things to find. Okay, so here's an easier way to specifically put your exact file in. If you go to your folder, you can find the actual file you want to insert. So here's our ancient Egypt map. What we can do is right click on it or check the box and change the sharing permissions just for that file. So we'll go ahead and change it so that anybody with the link can view. Click save. And then up at the top it gives you the link to share. So we can actually copy that link by pressing Control C, make sure it's all selected. Control C to copy it, or Command C if you're on a Mac. And then you can go into your page, and down here where it says or paste a web address underneath, you can actually press Control V or Command V to paste that in there and choose select, and it will find that exact document at that point, or that exact drawing, that exact file. This one's called Google Drawing. I'm going to change the name of it to Ancient Egypt Map. That's what's going to show up on the page, and click save, and then it will show up on the page. We can center it, we could add some words underneath of it to describe what we did, or above it, and we can click save. From there, people will be able to see that ancient Egypt map. They can then click on it to open it up in its own window, and then they can actually see the Google Drawing format of it. So that's a good way to embed your work on a page when you've got lots of different work related to a topic, is to make a page for each work. And notice here we also have a sub-page for ancient Greece. So that's a mistake. We don't want ancient Greece under ancient Egypt. So again, how do we fix that? We click on it, choose the settings, move the page, and make sure we move it to the right section. In this case, we want under social studies. Move. What if you want to link to something that's not going to be a new page with an embedded document on it? So for example, if we go back to my Google Sites page, I can find my ancient Egypt tour that I created. I can open the link, and then I have the website address that I can link to. So again, I can go down here, edit the page, highlight. Here's a tour website for ancient Egyptian sites and temples. I'll highlight those words, whatever words you want to be the link. I'll just link the words tour website, and then I'll put it into web address and paste the link. We can open that in a new window too if you'd like. If you want people to be able to stay on your portfolio page, then you want to open things in a new window. But if you're making new pages for your work that's part of your portfolio page, don't open it in a new window. Not sure if that makes sense. I'm going to repeat it again. If it's a separate site other than your portfolio website, open it in a new window. If it's part of your portfolio, then don't check that box. Okay, so we'll click save, and we're done with that. Another thing you may want to do is to add files. You can actually add files onto your page. So let's say we wanted to add one of our other work that we did, Pharaoh trading cards, at readwritethink.org. So we used a website to create special kinds of trading cards. Okay, and we're going to select the Pharaoh trading cards and make a link to a new page for that. So what we're going to do is make a new page to showcase our Pharaoh trading cards. So we'll highlight it, make a link, create a new page, and call it Pharaoh trading cards. And we want to make sure that's still under our ancient Egypt pages. Click create. And now on the Pharaoh trading cards page, we can go ahead and save this page and go to that Pharaoh trading cards page. And when we go to that, we're just going to add a little description. We created trading cards that showed the biographies and accomplishments of ancient Egyptian pharaohs. To do this, we use the trading card creator at readwritethink.org. So let's say we want people to be able to go to that trading card creator. They're going to need to be able to go there to open our trading cards. So we can give in directions here, instructions. Click the download link below to download the Pharaoh trading cards. Then click the link to trading card creator and open the file. Okay, so we're basically telling people where to go and where they can use the file to look at the trading cards. Now, if we want people to follow that link, first of all, let's underline our instructions to draw attention to them. You can always use B for bold, Control B, Control U, just like other document editors. And we're going to make a link to this trading card creator at readwritethink.org. So let's go ahead and find that link. Trading cards, read, write, think. And here's our website that we used, the Read, Write, Think Trading Cards 2. So we can copy that address and put it into our link by highlighting it and choosing the link tool, making a web address, and pasting it on there. Remember, we're going to open it in a new window so people can stay on this page and download your files. And we also need to add files. There's an add files tool here, and what this does is it lets you go in and find the files you want to upload and store on there. So in this case, I don't have the exact Pharaoh trading cards, but I've got this other one. So I'll click on Pharaoh trading cards there that I found where I saved it on my folders. So what you do is you find where you saved your file on your computer, and I'm going to click the link to open it, and what that will do is it's going to upload that file and save it on the page, and then people will be able to download that file whenever they need to. So you can store other things, including documents you've created, maps, whatever it is that you saved on the computer you want people to be able to download. You can put those files right there on the page, and now people can click the download link over here to download it. So let's go ahead and save that page, and now people could download the files, go to Trading Card Creator, log in, and choose this open button to open your cards. So one other thing you may want to do with your content on your pages is to organize it in certain ways using layout tools or tables. These are two ways that you can lay out your work pretty nicely. For example, under layout, we could change the number of columns, and this would let you put words on one side perhaps and a picture on the other side, for example. So let's say I made a 2-column layout. Then it moves our words over into one column, and in the other one we could do something like insert an image, and that'll put it nicely right next to all the words. If you do use web address or URL, you'd want to find an image. So let's say we want to find Queen Hatshepsut, and we go to the Google Images. Lots of pictures will show up, but these are copyrighted, so we want to try to focus on using images we're allowed to use. So we can go to these settings up here and go to an advanced search to find only images. Down here where it says usage rights, we can look for the ones that are free to use or share. And when we do an advanced search for those now, these are images that we could use any of them on. So here's a sculpture of Hatshepsut. Let's go ahead and use it. We can go to View Image to see it, and there's the website address for that image. You can also right-click on the image and choose Copy URL. And copying the URL will allow us to put it into this image URL here, and it will show up. Okay, so once you have an image address, again, you can change the sizes just like we did before and change how it looks on the page. You could also center it, and if you center it here or change it to the right align or left align, it aligns within that panel or that box, not on the whole page. So in this case, I'll just align it to the left to line up next to our words. Another possible layout tool that could be handy for certain things, such as making comparisons of data or really just organizing things into rows and columns, is using the table tool. Now, we're not going to use that for our portfolio. We shouldn't need to, but just to keep it in mind in case you do want to organize things in rows and columns where they line up neatly, you can create a table, and you would just show how many rows and columns to start with. It doesn't really matter if you need to make changes because you can always insert rows, columns, or delete them later. So we would go in, and let's say we wanted to make a 2-column table where one column is showing pictures of different characters and the other column is giving a description of each character in the story. So one way we could do that is to do a two-column table. So for example, let's say we wanted to compare characters from Mara, daughter of the Nile. We could have the character description on the left side here, and we could start writing it. You can type text into the box. Okay, and if you need to, with these boxes, you can actually change the size of them with these little arrows here. So you can actually change the layout of your table this way and change how wide things are. You can shrink these down as necessary. So you can set up a table, a two-column table, very easily this way to line things up in a nice and orderly fashion. You can even insert images into it, just like we would do on a regular page. So for example, I've got images saved for Mara characters here, and we've got Mara in the first one. And then that image can go in there and we can change the size of it. And if we use a common size such as small, it will keep them fairly similar sized. So in this way you can go ahead and keep organizing things nicely on the page. And it could be used for data, it could be used for science projects, it could be used to compare and contrast things. Lots of uses for tables, but really it's only necessary if you haven't already done that in another Google Doc that you're going to embed on your page.